Welcome to Dream Life Collective podcast with me, your host, Ishita Khattar. I am a corporate lawyer turned online entrepreneur, and I am also a business coach for online entrepreneurs. Here, we discuss all things business, sales, social media, mindset, productivity, time management, and I share my secrets and strategies on starting and growing a successful online business, which gives you not only the financial freedom but also time freedom where you can live the life you have always dreamt of. After successfully growing my business from the ground up, I'm here to teach you the same so you can launch your online business and earn more money without hustling or giving up on your personal life. And now let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Dream Life Collective podcast. This is going to be such a fun episode. I don't know if you know this about me, but I am a sucker for all things productivity and time management. So much so that I've literally made my own little planner. Story for some other day. But if you didn't know this about me, when I started in the coaching industry, my niche was productivity. Back then, I was a brand new mom and I was trying to manage my time in the limited hours that I had between, being a mother to a newborn, feeding, changing diapers, and all sorts of newborn things. And I thought that I should just start talking about productivity because I thought I was good at it and I am good at it. No denying the fact. But at the time, I had no idea about how to grow a business. So I started with productivity, and look how far we have come. I've not only grown my own business, but I've literally helped so many other online entrepreneurs start and grow their online business. But anyway, a couple of days back, I asked on my stories for any topics that you would like me to record on. And this was something that came up a lot. So here we are today talking all things productivity and time management. And needless to say, I'm sure you already know this by now. This is a topic that I've truly mastered. Earlier, I started my business when my baby was just newborn. And over time, now he's in prep, he's in kindergarten, he started going to school. Till about last year, his school timings were just 2.5 hours. So for me to grow and scale my business, which I did, majority of my business was scaled last year in 2022. I managed to grow and scale my business in that limited period of 2.5 hours every day. I'm in no way saying that that was the only work I did, because of course not. I did put in a couple of hours more, but I did not have the liberty back then to be doing things that I wanted, which is also why there were no new episodes for the podcast. But at the time, I was trying to grow and scale my business by focusing on just the things that are needed to grow and scale my business. I wasn't doing anything more. I was just focused on the needle moving activities. I did not waste my time doing unnecessary things because I knew that I have limited time at hand. I knew that I do not have the liberty of somebody who does not have a baby and is working from home, because they have all of those hours at hand. But I did not have those hours. So I had to make the best use of time. I became a lot more productive. I started managing my time a lot better. And which is why I am here today in front of you to be speaking on this topic. Going back a little bit, I was always into productivity. I always liked planners and planning and all things, cute stationery, notebooks, weekly planners, monthly planners, all of that. But I literally never used them because I didn't have anything to use them for. But when I became a mother, things changed. And I decided to get into the online space. I decided to become an online entrepreneur when my baby was just a couple of months old. So, motherhood has literally taught so much about using my time well, making use of the limited number of hours that I have. And I literally made the best use of time. Initially, before I got into business coaching, that is when I was more about productivity and all of that, I literally had 2 hours each day because at that time, my son did not even go to school. So I tried a lot of things. I tried to see what works for me. But one of the biggest things that I did for myself, and I till today thank my past self for making that decision and making that change in my life, which was to wake up early. I started waking up earlier than anybody else in my house. And that was one thing that got me ahead by a couple of hours every single day. I'm not somebody who can start their mornings in a rush. I like to take it slow. I like to enjoy my morning coffee, maybe scroll a little bit of social media. Not the best thing, I know, but let's face it, I think all of us do it. So I like to do that in peace before I start my work day or before I can cater to anybody else. So I started waking up 2 hours before the rest of my house would wake up. My husband and my son at that time would wake up at around 8:30, and I started waking up at 6 o'clock. And those 2 hours that I got, I utilized that for my personal well-being, my mindset growth. I wasn't doing a lot of journaling back then, but I just took that time to start my morning slow, to make my to-do list for the day, to see what things I need to be doing, and all sorts of things. Maybe I would read a book, and then I would spend at least an hour on work because that time was really crucial for me. That 1 hour put me ahead of a lot of other people. It put me ahead as compared to my own self, because rest of the day I barely had any time back then. So that 1 hour really helped me. That extra 1 hour really helped me becoming or growing my business a little bit. So that time I would take to maybe plan out certain things, my content for the week or my content for the day. I would write my content, I would schedule my posts. But I also want to talk about this thing here, and that is that a lot depends on the season of life that you are in. Back then, I was in a completely different season of life. The season of having a newborn, the season of having a little baby at home, taking care of his needs before anyone else's, and barely having any time for myself or for my business. But now I'm in a completely different season of life. My son has started going to school. He goes to kindergarten, and I get a lot of time during the day to work on my business. He's also at a stage where he has classes, he has friends, he has play dates, he has all sorts of things. He goes to the park every single day. So I get a lot of time in the middle to work on my business, which is why I'm utilizing this time to doing things that I could not previously do. So always make sure, always act according to the season of life that you're in. Maybe you are in a season where you have a 9 to 5 to go to and you're probably on the verge of quitting. But currently, you are going to a 9 to 5. So you do have very limited time to work on your online business. Maybe you are a new mother and you do have very limited time. So instead of focusing on 10 different things and seeing what works, jumping from strategy to strategy for your business, I would highly suggest you to stick to one thing and one thing only, and just doing the needful activities. Probably this is not the right time for you to even focus on your email list, doing monthly masterclasses, having a podcast, having 10 different offers. Maybe that's not the season of life that you're in. But yes, maybe eventually when your child grows up or he or she starts going to school, you would have more time at hand. You would have more time to dive into all of these different things. So always work according to the season of life that you are in currently. So currently, I get a lot of free time during the day. I mean, I'm not saying free, but I get a lot of time to work on my business. And my son leaves for school at 7:30 in the morning. I don't have to go drop him, thankfully. He goes by school bus. So I don't have to do all of that. I don't have to go pick him up from school. So I do get a lot of time. He leaves home at 7:30 and comes back by 1:30. So I have about 5 hours. Is that 5? 7:30. So I have about five. No, actually, I have about 6 hours every single day to do a lot of things. And now I try to manage my entire work, entire business in these 6 hours. But not only that, I also work on myself. The minute I go drop him down for the bus, I straight leave for the gym because now I'm in a season of life where I can take care of my body as well. Last year, as you all would have heard in the previous episode, I just did not have the time to work on my body. My body was neglected. I went through a phase of binge eating. I had put on a lot of weight, which I'm really struggling to lose right now. But, anyways, I now started taking care of my body more because I'm in a season of life where I have the liberty to do all of this. I can focus on myself, I can focus on my mental well being, my physical well being, and as well as my business. I also take out free time during the day to maybe just not do anything. I'll just maybe take an hour, maybe nap for a bit, which I wasn't able to do last year. Literally, last year, I can count on my fingers the number of hours I took a nap in the afternoon because that was not something I had the time for. I had limited time. I knew I had to decide what is it that I want to focus on, whether I want to nap or I want to watch an episode on Netflix or I want to grow my business or I want to spend time with my child. It was a huge struggle. But now I'm not going to say the word season of life because I think I've used that enough. But now I have the time to do all of this and much more. I work on my business. I do things in my business that I wasn't able to do last year. I spend a lot of time with my son, play with him, teach him, read stories to him. I If I feel like, I take a nap in the afternoon. If I feel like, I watch an episode of my favorite series. Right now I'm watching Korean dramas and I'm absolutely loving them. So I do that maybe in the afternoon because I have that time to do it. But I did sacrifice a lot of things up until this time to reach where I am today. If you need to grow your business, I'm not saying growing a business is the most difficult thing because it's not, it's easy, but it requires certain actions that you need to do every single day. You need to get out there, you need to show up every day, you need to post every day, you need to do lives, you need to do a few things, especially the needle moving activities. You need to be doing them every single day in your business in order to grow and make a certain amount every single month. So I did sacrifice a lot earlier. I sacrificed watching Netflix at night when I would be tired. I would probably want to wind down with a Netflix episode. I would use that time to dive into a training of a course that I have signed up for. Or I would maybe learn something new. If I'm going out for a walk, I would probably put on a podcast instead of listening to music because that's how I could best utilize my time. There are certain things that I do every single day in my business till today. Maybe I used to do that earlier as well, and that's something that is continuing. And that's something that you also need to be doing every single day if you have an online business, and that is to create content, whether it is post on your stories, whether it is your feed post, your reels, anything. Again, talking about reels, till about last year, I did not have the time to focus on reels. So I did not. And now, if you go check out my Instagram page, there are so many reels and I'm having so much fun creating them. So There are certain things that I do every single day in my business. There are things that I do daily, and like I said, one of that is create content. I create content every single day, whether it is to post on my stories, whether it is to post on my feed, whether it is to go live now, whether it is to record a podcast episode, anything, any form of content, email, I do it every single day. I also now focus on lead generation activities every single day. And there are some additional things that I do every single day in my business. So, what I like to do, and here is a big tip for you, is to plan out your day the night before. So, I like to sit down before I end my day, or maybe at night. I'll just take out 10 minutes. I'll open up my Google Calendar. I'll see if I have any calls, any appointments, anything that I need to be doing. And accordingly, I'm going to make my to do list. Like that, I know what is coming up the next day. Any high priority matters that I need to do, any business upgradation that I need to do, anything. And it really keeps me in check when I have limited time. This is something that I started following back when my baby was just born, back when I just started my business, and that has continued till date. I've been doing it for years and years, and I think that is one thing that has literally kept me at the top of my game. Plan out your day the night before, and when I am making my to-do list, I make my to-do list, and I also include my personal activities that I need to be doing that day, because you always need to maintain a balance between your work life and your private life. So, my to do list consists of both the activities, whether business related or related to my personal life. Next thing I do the night before is to time block. And this has literally been a game changer. Again, this is something that I've been doing since years. And I remember back when I was a productivity coach, there was this time blocking sheet that I used to give out to people. And I use it till date. And like I mentioned at the start of this episode, I've made a planner for myself. I'm not selling it, it's just for myself, my private use. Maybe in the future I'll sell it, no idea. But as of now, it's just for my private use. And that has a time blocking sheet for the whole week. I literally use it every single day. And that again is something that keeps me in check. And I know what exactly am I doing in a pocket of time. Because earlier, when my son was small, I used to work out of pockets of time throughout my day. I'd created these little pockets of time, like, maybe 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, 1 hour in the evening. So I exactly knew what am I doing during that pocket of time, because otherwise, when you do have time, you start scrolling on social media, you start thinking, oh, what is it that I need to do? And your brain goes in all of those directions. And what ends up happening is that you end up doing absolutely nothing. So, like that, when I know that I have a couple of hours and this is exactly what I'm doing in these hours, so when that block of time starts, I know this is my focus for this 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And like that, I'm not wasting any time. I am getting things done from my to do list and growing my business at the same time. It also gives a lot of structure to my day. And I know a lot of people out there don't like structure, but I'm somebody who loves a structure. I'm somebody who loves to know what is it that I'm doing when. So it has really helped me. So if you like structure in your day and if you don't mind planning out your day in advance, then definitely try out time blocking. Another thing that I implemented, not from the start, but from probably last year, was to set boundaries. And these are not just boundaries in my personal life, but also in business. So in my personal life, my boundaries are that, I know what is it that I'm doing when. I know that when my family knows that these are my work hours, and nobody really calls me up during that time now, because everybody knows if they call me up, I will not answer. My phone is usually on silent mode, and even if it's not, I choose not to reply to a WhatsApp message unless it is really, really urgent. So those are the boundaries that I set in my personal life. I also set a lot of boundaries in business, and I'm not always inside Voxer. I'm not immediately replying to any DMs or comments that are coming my way. My clients know of these boundaries. So if they drop in a message inside our group chat, inside Telegram or Voxer or wherever, they have a query, they know that she's not going to respond immediately unless I am inside that app at that time and doing my client work. But she will get to it before the end of the day. So I have these certain times when I go into Voxer and I check my messages from my clients, and I sit down and reply to them at once, because I think my brain focuses better when I'm doing a certain activity at a certain time and I'm not just switching between a lot of things. So if I'm writing content and my phone suddenly buzzes and there's a message from my client, I'll not pick up my phone to reply to that message, because it will definitely break the flow that I was having while I was writing that piece of content. So those are the boundaries that I set in my business. And in fact, I was talking to a client of mine and she was really struggling with this. So she was a health coach and she had this client, in fact, a couple of clients who would just keep messaging her at odd hours of the night. So when she would message them, they would just not reply back because she used to always take accountability from her clients. So when she would message the clients, they would not respond back, and they would respond at whatever time they felt like, and they would need an answer right there. They would really expect her to reply and create like diet plans for them at like 11 p.m. in the night. So she discussed this problem with me, and I asked her to set certain boundaries in a certain way. And you won't believe it, she came to me and she said that, Ishita, I am so much more confident about myself and my business. My clients have started taking me more seriously. They started taking me as an authority for some reason after I started setting some boundaries. So, if you don't have boundaries between you and your clients, then try to set those boundaries. And you don't always need to say it out loud, but it just comes across, and it just comes across. I've never set these boundaries out loud to anybody. It just comes across through my content, through the way I am with my clients. But if need be, and if a client is crossing those boundaries, there is absolutely no harm in you trying to, tell them that, look, you're crossing a boundary and I will get back to them. Always be polite, but get through to them what is it that you want to convey. And this, moving on to the next tip I have for you, and that is to plug into some music. And I know it's not going to work for everybody because some people tend to get very distracted by music playing. But for me, it gets me in a really creative mode. And I usually do that when I have a lot of content to write, or when, I'm struggling to write good quality content. I don't know what to write. I write and then I delete, and I'm doing a lot of back and forth when it comes to creating any piece of content. So that's when I'm going to put on my headphones and put on some music. I like to listen to just, electronic beats and stuff like that. No words per se. And you won't believe, I come up with the best content when I write content while listening to music. So you can definitely try this out for yourself and try different music. You don't need to maybe listen to the same type of music that you always listening to. Some people like to listen to, those binaural beats that are just going on, like, which have affirmations running in the background, but you really can't hear them. So try different kinds of music and see if this works for you. For me, I get the best ideas when I'm plugged into some good music and I'm brainstorming. I'm so focused during this time, I can't even tell you. So definitely try this out for yourself. Okay. Another tip that I have for you is to have certain theme days. And like I mentioned just a few minutes back, my brain focuses a lot better when I'm doing certain things which are the same during certain time. Instead of going back and forth with a lot of different things, I try to put all of those similar things together on a particular day. I don't usually follow this to a T. I'm actually very on and off with it, but there are certain days that are set, and I do certain activities only on those days most of the times. One of which is my client calls. So all of my client calls are set for 2 days of the week, Wednesdays and Thursdays. So there are certain weeks when I have more client calls, certain weeks have less client calls, but all of the calls that I do are on Wednesdays and Thursdays. In case a call needs to be rescheduled for some reason, which I usually don't do, but for some reason, if a call needs to be rescheduled, I do it on any other day, but usually I do all of my calls during these 2 days. In fact, this week I tried this and it worked like magic. So I started with a content day on Monday. And like I said, I put on my headphones. I started brainstorming my content that needs to go out for the entire week. And you won't believe I spent the entire day just writing captions. And I'm done. I'm already done with writing captions for the entire week. All I need to do is put that out, put it in Canva, or maybe just create a reel, and that's about it. Probably the next time I'm going to do that as well. I'm going to batch create that as well, but as of now, I was really happy with how that day turned out. And Tuesdays and Wednesday, I kept it for my podcast. On Tuesday, I brainstormed all of the pointers that I need to be talking in my podcast. And Wednesday, I'm sitting down and recording all of my podcasts. So Thursdays is usually my call day, and Fridays is usually my admin day. And during my admin day, I do anything that is business related, manage my finances, check out things, um, create any new offers that I want to, maybe go back and refine certain offers, add certain trainings, certain resources for my older offers. So that's what I do. Okay, one last tip that I'm going to share with you before I end this episode, and that is to unfollow people from social media. The more you consume content from other people, the more you get confused. And I think this is one of the best things I did for myself and for my business, was not to follow a lot of people. And even if I follow them, I don't actively consume anybody's content. There are very, very, very few people whose content I consume. And I would see a lot of content because everybody is churning out more and more content these days. But somehow I do not sit down and watch it or waste my time over it. I'm not saying waste my time in a bad way, but for me, if I'm always looking at what other people are doing, it'll not help me stay in my own lane. So always stay in your own lane. Don't try to consume a lot of content from a lot of people, because that's going to dilute your own thoughts. It's going to dilute what you stand for. If you can't actively stop yourself from consuming people's content, then the best thing to do is to literally unfollow them. There was a time last year when I realized that I've been wasting a lot of time consuming people's content. So what I did was I went ahead and I unfollowed some hundreds of people from my Instagram. And slowly and gradually, I went on track and stopped consuming people's content. I only and only stop and read somebody's content if I really find it catchy. I'm not the one who is going to look at 10 different people and see what they're posting and then try to come up with a post for myself, because I actually believe in authentic content. I actually believe in content that you speak, the stories that you share, and nothing can replace your stories, nothing can replace you, which is why every single day I get people come and tell me how much they love my content. My content really speaks to people because I'm writing from my heart. I'm writing what I truly feel, what I truly have gone through, my stories, my experiences, my clients' experiences. I'm not writing content from a place where I'm copying or looking at what other people are writing and then letting it affect my writing. So, that is a productivity tip, but it's also a tip for your business, that stay in your lane. And if you can't do it actively, then just go ahead and unfollow people. I do have a lot more tips to share with you, but I think these were the best out of all of the tips that I had. And like I said, I have gone through a season of a newborn baby, even though it was 3 to 4 years ago. The foundations that I set at that time have actually remained the same. Things like time blocking, planning out my day the night before, working in certain blocks of time, all these things were things that I started back when I had a newborn baby. And today, when I have so much time at hand, I still follow these things to keep myself accountable and to keep myself from not ending up wasting the time that I have. In fact, utilizing that time to growing my business even further and doing things in my business that I didn't get a chance to do earlier or I didn't have the time to do earlier. So that's it for these tips. I would love for you to come on Instagram and share your favorite tips. If you have any, or if you love this episode, then please share it on your story so that it can reach more and more people. So that's all for now. I'm going to see you next week. Bye bye. If you like this episode, I would love for you to review the podcast and leave a rating.